super excited to get going this morning. We've got an amazing speaker. First of all, thank you all for attending. We know that there's a lot of other places that you could be. There's a lot of things that you could be doing that maybe require a lot of your attention back at your office and so forth, but we know that it's going to be a fantastic opportunity, this whole conference, and especially this session today. So I'm just going to go over a few of the announcements. And again, if you're just arriving, lots of seats still, a lot of seats up front, come on in and have a seat. Our theme this year is Stronger Together, and I can already feel it. Can you feel it? Yeah, stronger together. We are stronger together. Just a few things for our URPA board and 2021 conference planning committee. I'm just going to share a few of the names of people who have been really instrumental in planning this, and we'll just have them stand as I say their name. Let's start with our conference chair, Nick Coleman. Conference co-chair, Ricky Crumback. Our auction chair, Shonda Jo Eads. Our auction co-chair, Emerson Autonomy. Our corporate representative, Paul Foster with Big T Recreation. Our URPA Executive Director, Leanne Powell. And our URPA Marketing and Membership Coordinator, Mikkel. A lot of them have been scattered throughout the building, helping check in vendors and still helping with the event, so we're grateful for them. How about a round of applause for our Utah Valley Convention Center? Great host. And Provo Parks and Recreation Department always does a great job in having activities go on. And of course you guys, so thank you so much for being here. And Heath Bateman on the front row. Glad to have Heath here. Okay, perfect. This next group I want to announce, I'm going to have you hold your applause until the end because there's a list of people that I'm going to read. As you know, with COVID, it threw off our timing of our conference, but it didn't throw off our timing of our elections. And we've had people jump in and have been fulfilling their roles since March. And so, as I read their names, we can have them just stand up briefly or raise their hand, and then at the end we'll give them a round of applause. Myself as president, John Bradley. Past president, Curtis Dixon. We have a unique year where we have multiple presidents for a couple months. President Bronco Hunter. President-elect Scott McDonald. Health and Wellness Representative Tia Usalak. Parks Representative Benji Fry. Aquatics Representative Wendy Harris. Region 2 Wasatch Region Rep Megan Zollinger. Region 4 Southern Region Rep Cody Schmidt. Special Events Representative Ann Elise Harrison. State Representative India Nielsen Barfus. Young Professional Representative Aspen Dalton. Educational Representative Nate Trumpvine. 2022 URPA Conference Chair Brittany Crumback. 2022 URPA Conference Auction Chair Emerson Watanabe. Executive Secretary Kristen McGregor. And just a special thanks to all of them. Give them a round of applause. Okay, just a couple more announcements to get us all set for the day. Reminder that our vendor luncheon is today midday 11:30 to 2:15. We just want to remind you all, take advantage of the opportunity to come down and talk to our vendors. They really do make the conference actually possible each year with their contributions, and it's a great way to rub shoulders with them, even if you don't need to buy anything at this time, or you might not be someone that can actually purchase something in your department. Come down and greet them and so forth. There is some fun drawings every 10 minutes. You do have to be present to win. In fact, in your little name card here, you've got a little card that says vendor luncheon. Fill out the back of that, name and so forth, and then you'll drop that as you go into the actual vendor hall. So it's going to be, again, I've seen the list of prizes. You'll want to be there, but again, must be present to win. Also, each vendor booth has a silent auction prize that you can actually write some information down, and that's at each booth. So there's a lot of additional reasons to stop by and visit those booths. all the proceeds generated go to our URPA scholarship. So that benefits our next generation of students and professionals. And a special thank you to Arch Nexus, who sponsors that luncheon every year, and Holly Adams and her staff, so I appreciate that. There will also be upstairs, traditionally as we've done. This year it's a little bit different. You need to go outside on the patio, get a little bit of fresh air. That is where the option items are going to be. And that will close at 4:15, excuse me, 4:05. 4:05. So third floor patio area. Two more announcements and we'll get going here. Just a reminder, we'll want to save a date for October the 7th. There is the golf tournament up in West Valley. Proceeds benefiting our Utah Drowning Prevention Coalition. So that's right. Give them a round of applause for that event. And that's a very great, again, the proceeds benefit a great cause. So come out and join that, get a team together. Our URPA barbecue is tonight, 6 p.m. at the Provo Rec Center. It's actually going to be outside at the pavilion, just to the west of the building. So come visit the building, come over and actually join an amazing barbecue. Good food, good fun, and a lot of networking there. It's sponsored by Big T Recreation, and we appreciate that every conference. So without further ado, let's go ahead and have Nick come up and introduce our speaker.
Before I introduce Ian Hill, I just want to make two plugs real quick. When you guys are registering today, you probably saw some free swag at the table, some t-shirts and that. It's not free. So we have these URPA design shirts. Nikhil did a wonderful job. If you show that you're on Connect and show your picture on Connect, you'll be able to get a free shirt. Also, we are 194 days, 15 hours, 19 minutes, and 4 seconds away from next year's conference. So, if you go on the back of your pamphlets, you'll see a little URL code. If you guys register to be a presenter next year, Brittany did a wonderful job designing this shirt as well. If you guys are looking for some swag, be a presenter for next year, because we're only 194 days away. So, in the past few days, I got to know Ian Hill. All I have to say is he puts his passion into his work, and I look forward to seeing him not only during this open keynote, but also in his sessions. So, first I have to say thank you for BCBO Architect for sponsoring our keynote. They're not here. They would be doing this, but they couldn't attend, so they have me up here. So Ian Hill, humanitarian business leader, award-winning social innovator, and world record breaker. These are some of the words that are often used when referring to Ian Hill. Whether running a business operating over 1,000 employees or spearheading the first of their kind, life-changing community projects, Ian Hill has been recognized for being a catalyst for positive change throughout the globe. Ian's latest world record attempt is to be the oldest man to play college football. This effort is to bring light to an alarming suicide rate and mental health issues amongst middle-aged men. This will be his second world record and is already inspiring men and their families across the United States and Canada. Today, Ian is the CEO of the National Grassroots Media Corporation and its family of networks. These digital TV and radio networks reach into 185 million households across the U.S. and 3.1 billion mobile devices around the world. Ian is also known for his humanitarian efforts, Let Them Be Kids, of which he is the founder and voluntary CEO. This first of its kind, innovative building playgrounds in areas of extreme need. Let Them Be Kids has impacted over 165 communities across North America, honoring fallen soldier with each playground and skate park built. The National Council for Community and Justice recognized Ian for his commitment positive change by naming him Humanitarian of the Year. The Stand for Children organization named him its Child Advocate of the Year. Ian's Let Them Be Kids program was named one of the foremost innovative social leisure programs in the world by the World Leisure Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Ian Hill.
You know, because of the length of time that it took to plan the conference, Nick and I have been in communication now for a year. Yeah. You have an incredible representative of not only the profession, URPA, but Utah as a whole in Nick. He's a phenomenal gentleman, and I was going to say young guy, but how old are you, man? Are you 40? Shut the front door, really? You look like you're 22, dude. Anyway, he has got, not only doing a great job in what he's doing, but he's got a bright future as a leader in this industry. And he talked about me being passionate. This man cares about his profession and the community that he serves. Will you give him another big round of applause? All right, good morning. That was shit. Good morning. That's much better. I'm from Nevada. I come from a small area. Unfortunately, the county and the area that we're from is on fire right now. The Lake Tahoe area of Nevada and California. So obviously our prayers and our thoughts are with them today. I have a guest with me. Her name is Kelly Hyde. And she hails from literally the county that people are being evacuated from and to in a different part of the county. And you'll be hearing her name in the future because Kelly is going to be a phenomenal presenter and podcaster, and especially if you're the ladies in the room, she has content and insight and wisdom that's going to impact women all across the United States. And she's a tremendous support to me, so will you give her a big round of applause? Now, what's funny is that years ago, I spoke here in Utah at St. George. And maybe some of you were there in St. George, Utah, which has got to be the scariest place in the world to fly in and out of. Like, what? We're flying off the shelf or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? It's just nuts. And that was a long time ago. And a lot of water has gone under the bridge between then and now. And we've done a lot of things since then. And learned a lot. Failed a lot. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. And I've lost more times than I've won. Obviously, in pickleball last night was also part of that losing because my boy Tyler told me the wrong rules. So thanks, boys. Appreciate you. And so what I'm going to try to do today is just talk from my heart. I don't have a book to sell. I don't have any CDs or downloads to get you to buy. How many of you agree with me we're in one of the most challenging times in the history of our country? It is one of the most challenging times. And in my 55 years of living, I know I don't look 55, right? She's like, yeah, really 55? Wow. In my 55 years of living, I've never seen it like this. We face threats from without and challenges from within. Right after 9/11, I got a phone call from NRPA. And they said, Ian, we want you to open up the NRPA conference in Denver. We want you to be the keynote speaker. I said, well, wait a minute, man. You got the Secretary of Interior. She's the keynote speaker. You don't want me to come and talk to this lady named Pam Earl. Ian, you remember Pam Earl? Pam Earl said, Ian, we don't think there's anybody better in the country to talk to the profession than you. Tremendous honor, right? I said, well, that's great, except that's like 9 days from today. Like, you want me to come up with something in 9 days? And they said, yes. We're going to give you about 15 minutes, and you're going to talk to the profession from across the country. And so we did. And I spoke from my heart at that time. When Leanne, and it was actually Brittany that called me, when they called and said if I would come, I wasn't speaking anymore. I wasn't talking to people anymore. I had set that aside. I set that aside because I felt like, well, to be frank, I set that aside because I was burned out. And I was beat up. We had built playgrounds all across the United States and Canada, far away as Africa. We had opened 3 youth centers. We had started 5 different schools. Nevada's first charter school, in fact. We've done projects literally around the world. And you know what I woke up on my 50th birthday and said? It's going to make a real difference. There's just going to be more problems and more challenges, and people are just going to be more damn cynical. And hell with it all. Can anybody relate to what I'm saying right now? Yeah. I said to hell with it. And I said to hell with it so strong that I walked downstairs on my 50th birthday and told my family, I'm done. I'm checking out. Not only checking out of this, I'm checking out. I'm done with life. Because it's not worth it. Doesn't mean anything. Now, a piece of information that you don't know is that my son is autistic. And I was flying all over the world, building playgrounds for people, giving stuff away, building schools and doing all that. And my son was still not getting any better. And we all have our different worldviews, right? We all have different worldviews. My worldview is this: is there's some dude up in the sky that I'm going to stand in front of someday and he's going to ask me, what did I do with what I was given? Because to whom much is given, much is required. And I've been given much in life. So much is required of me. But I couldn't figure out why my son was still hurting. So I said, screw it. I'm done. I'm out. It's all bullcrap anyways. So I walked away from talking to people as kind of my way to get back into the universe. Well, screw you. If you don't do what I want, I'm not going to talk to people. And the universe was like, so? So when Leanne called, or when Brittany called, I wasn't talking to people. But then I was reminded that we have to do our job. Every one of you in this room has talent and ability, and you have something to offer. Now, what you have to offer is not what I have to offer. What I have to offer is not what you have to offer. But we have to do our job. Because when we don't do our job, other people's lives are impacted negatively. So the talents and abilities that I have are not my own. And someday I'll be held accountable for how I use the talent and ability I've been given. So this is the first time I've talked in about 2 years. So if I'm a little scattered, a little emotional, figure it out. Right? Deal with it, right? Just like the people yesterday had to deal with me. You know, they had to deal with me having not talked in a couple of years. So I'm going to take off my jacket and we're going to get to work. Pull out a piece of paper and a pen. Or your mobile device or whatever you type with, because we're not here to waste our time. There's a 4-year-old little boy counting on you to go back to whatever town you're from and be a little bit better. There's a senior on a fixed income whose husband passed away a couple years ago, and she's just making it. And the only family she has is your senior center. There's a young family who just moved to your town to reach their dreams and their goals. And they don't know anybody else in town. But when they go to your park, because it's clean and well maintained, there's other families there, and guess what? They start to build trusting relationships and feel a part of community. So how many of you, by show of hands, would say we're not here to waste our time? We're in one of the most challenging times in the history of our country. And for the first time in my life, all of you sitting here in this room have all the answers to the challenges we face. You have all the answers. And the answers that you have are proactive, they're cheaper, and they are more effective and will sustain longer. How many of you would agree? There's never been a time that you've been more relevant. And because of the pandemic and people not being able to access your facilities, your parks, and your services and your events, the rest of society finally gets it. How many of you agree with that as well? Tremendous opportunity. After every pandemic, if you do an exploration of history, so as soon as March of last year, as soon as the pandemic hit, I started doing research immediately. Because there's always opportunity in chaos. There's always cash in crisis. You can always find something amazing when there's turmoil. Always. Just do an exploration of history. Billionaires get built in the time of crisis. So I started studying immediately. Went to the University of Google. How many ever gone to the University of Google? People always ask me if I went to college. I said, oh no, I didn't go to college. I walked through there on my way to work every day, but I didn't go to college. When I went to school, I took the short bus to school. Yeah, I did. I took the short. I was in special classes till I couldn't read till I was 17. 495 students in my graduating class, I was 492nd. Not the sharpest pencil in the box, not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. But I'll tell you this, I can stand in any boardroom in Toronto or New York. I can stand in any boardroom. Why? Because I just go to the University of Google, right? You just go to the University of Google, you learn anything. So I went to the University of Google and I started studying pandemics. What happens? Where's opportunity? How do you make it? What do you do? You know what I came to find? After every pandemic in the history of mankind, there is a renaissance. There's an explosion of creativity. There's an explosion of opportunity. And, it makes sense. Pent up, right? Pent up. And then all of a sudden, people are free again. And shoom, they take off. There is an opportunity for renaissance. The reason that they asked me to talk right after 9/11 was because they knew that I was doing innovative projects throughout the state of Nevada. We were doing youth centers in malls. We opened a youth center in a mall. We partnered with the mall owner. We partnered with the city of Reno. And we opened a teen center in the mall. Why? Because all the damn kids were in the mall. So instead of trying to get them to come out of the mall, we said to the mall owner, give us 6,000 square feet. And we'll keep all those kids out of trouble. They won't harass you anymore. We'll get them focused into one place. We did 6,000 square feet in Park Lane Mall in Reno, Nevada. And what was the programmatic strategy? Hip-hop, breakdance, video, games, and stuff like that. We had kids in there for lines of kids. We also did a youth center in an epicenter of gang activity. I bought an old, dilapidated private school and converted it and gave it back to the city. A kid had been shot a block from there. A police officer had been shot across the street. And how many of you know it's a rough neighborhood and they're shooting cops? Do you know within 1 year of that youth center being open, because of the incredible programmatic talent of the staff, they were successful in spite of me, right? Successful in spite of me. Within 1 year, the leader of the gang left the gang. He came on the board of the youth center. That's a true story. Sal Sleepy Rico. That's his name. Sal Sleepy Rico. Right now he has a job at Truckee Precision. He has a wife and a kid. So the reason that they asked me to talk right after 9/11 is because they thought I had something to say that might be innovative or dynamic or whatever. I don't know. The reason I got something to say today is because as I look across the society, if we were going to pick a group that would be in prime position to be the catalyst for the Renaissance, who would it be? It would be you. You would be the people that would be the most poised to be the catalyst for the Renaissance. Well, what do you mean? Well, first of all, you touch every citizen in your community from cradle to grave. How many would agree with that? You touch every citizen in your community from cradle to grave. From your Mommy and Me program to your senior program. And some of you, I know, run the cemetery in your town, so you really do touch every citizen from cradle to grave, right? So you're primarily poised because 1, you touch every citizen from cradle to grave. 2, your facilities and your programs create a sense of community. Now I can see the look on your people's face if you don't get what I'm talking about. So we better back up a little bit. We better back up. This is going to be the participation program, part of the program. Somebody tell me the value of youth sports or youth programming. What's the value? And I want you listening to me now. I want you to take what we're going to talk about for the next 10 minutes and go sit down with your staff and have the same conversation with them. What's the value of youth programming? Somebody tell me the participation part of the program. What's the value of youth programming? What's that? I know that, but what is it? What's the redeeming value? What does it accomplish? What's the impact of youth programming? What does it really do? Why do we spend millions of dollars on youth programming? Okay, somebody says teaches them character. Okay, what else? Confidence. How about this? You build the citizen of tomorrow. That's it. You build the citizen of tomorrow. Now the job is not exclusively yours. Combined with schools, families, institutions of faith, you all combine to build the citizen of tomorrow. But the relationship that you have with youth is unique and different and unlike anybody else in the community. I said it yesterday to the directors. The educator is the sage on the stage. They're in a very authoritative role. You, your department, and your staff are the guide on the side. You build trusting relationships through your programs and then allow you to speak into the lives of kids. And you instill the qualities and the attributes that help them be successful as citizens of our great country. Side note, Nick, where's Nick at?
Yeah.
Bro, and what's your name, young lady? I forgot your name. Hey, come on, man. We got to have an American flag up here. We got to have a flag of the great state of Utah up here. Seriously now. Seriously now. Come on, man. Taylor Hoover now. Come on. No, I'm serious. We built 168 places. Come on, man. I'm serious. That's not why I said it. We built 168 playgrounds to honor fallen soldiers. I had 168 moms on my shoulder crying while we built those playgrounds. I got to have a U.S. flag over here. I got to have a flag of the great state of Utah right over here. Come on. And that's no offense to anybody. I'm just saying, let's get that handled. Right? So we got to have a flag right here, right? So let's get on that phone, whatever you do, call your manager, get a flag up here. No bullshit. Now, where was I? 55 years old, you forget shit. Sorry about that. So here's the thing. Your youth program builds a citizen of tomorrow. That's the redeeming value. That's what the private sector can't do. That's what the soccer academy doesn't do. You're focused on building the citizen of tomorrow. Somebody tell me the value of senior programming. Quick. What's the value of senior programming? Yes? Go, quick. Okay, so here's the thing. She's 100% right. I'm going to give it a little bit more weight. $53,000 to $78,000 a year in savings, depending on the municipality or the jurisdiction that you reside. Every year that we can keep a senior independent, and all studies show that your senior center and your senior program keep them independent. $73,000 a year we save because of your programs. Set aside the moral responsibility that we have. And unlike any other society in the history of mankind, we toss our seniors away like they're garbage and trash. And we throw them on the trash heap of life and say you have no contribution any longer. That's foolish and to our own chagrin. It's to our own demise. All we have to do is talk to our good partners, our tribal partners, and look at their example of how they respect and admire their elders. There's something powerful about elders. And if you're a young professional in this room, go seek out somebody that's been in the game 30 years. Somebody that's kind of ball like Carl, right? Kind of like, I want to have a chat yesterday. So my point is this: the power of senior programming isn't just a moral obligation, because we have a moral obligation. It's a strict financial obligation that we have. The sheer weight of taking care of our seniors and institutional things will crush our economy. You're on the front lines of ensuring that seniors take independent longer. What's my point? My point is, do you remember the value of what you do every day? Are you evangelizing and preaching it to your team? When I say that you're the key to the Renaissance, I get you to look at me with deers in the headlights. Like, what is he even talking about? I don't understand. As I travel across North America, that's the number one problem that industry has. You don't understand your value. You don't walk in your value. You don't stand with pride of your value. You're important. You changed my life. There wouldn't be 168 playgrounds. There wouldn't be schools. There wouldn't be youth centers. There wouldn't be TV stations if it wasn't for Leslie Agnew, if it wasn't for Bill Bell. Well, who are they? They are you. They are you who dedicated themselves to helping a chubby little brown kid. Right? I'm the chubby little brown kid that rolled in. And we're going to play wiffle ball today. Here we go. Let's play wiffle ball. And I know that my pickleball talent didn't show yesterday. Well, I can play some wiffle ball. Let me tell you that right now. I do that there. Quack. And Leslie Agnew, used wiffle ball to build in me the qualities and attributes that manifest themselves today. She never got to see it. But just like the person that plants the seed of that oak tree, she understood she would never partake in the shade of that tree. Somebody tell me the value of therapeutic recreation. What's the value of therapeutic recreation? Any therapeutic recreators in the room? Who's a therapeutic recreator? Come on now. What's the value of therapeutic recreation? Somebody tell me. Come on, somebody's got to know. Some director in this room better be able to articulate the value of therapeutic recreation. Yes?
There is a sense of belonging, a sense of value as a person, a sense of accomplishment, and the list goes on and on.
How would you like to volunteer to go far away, serve your country, and then come back half of who you were when you left? And then have to go back into the workplace. Have to go back into your neighborhood or family. Therapeutic recreators help bridge that gap. They build confidence. They help physically help an individual. Or how would you like to be the parent of an autistic child? Parent of an autistic child who wakes up one day and reads on his phone that the number one cause of death among autistic children is drowning. And then you go down to your local park and recreation department and you talk to Roger Mollendorf, who is the former director of Park and Recreation in Carson City, Nevada. Now you're starting to see I actually had this conversation. And I was like, hey Roger, what's up, bro? You got anybody on your staff that can teach my autistic kid how to swim? No. Nobody on the team understands how to work with autistic kids? No. So well, you know the number one cause of drowning, death amongst autistic children is drowning, right? No. Are we going to do something about that? And he said just like this, he goes, I get a feeling, Ian, we are going to be doing something about that, aren't we? I said, we are. So the power of therapeutic recreation is we actually save lives, enhance lives, enrich lives, nurture lives. And in many instances, we bring people back into society through therapeutic recreation. What's the power of a special event? What's the power of a special event? Hey, side note, why do I want you to take notes on this? Because how many of you agree with me? We get so caught up in how, of doing how every day. How many of you, by show of hands, would say, you do a lot of how? And you know what we forget? Why? We do a ton of how. But because we forget what we're talking about right now, we lose some passion, we lose some energy, because we go through a pandemic, and the drugs and the gangs and the alcohol and the abuse and the neglect, the poverty and the ignorance, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better, and it seems to actually be getting worse. And we look up on the scoreboard and it says evil 73, good 22, and there's like 17 minutes left in the game, and we're like, Jesus. Can anybody relate to what I'm talking about right now? So what do you have to go back to? We have to go back to the same thing I had to go back to. Why? Why? So somebody tell me the value of a special event. Yes, ma'am. It brings hope. How many of you have gone to a concert? A concert in a park. How many got a concert in a park? Okay, I'm going to relay a little story, concert in the park. This is the power of concert in the park. So, years ago, I take my little kids concert in the park. But how many of you know Saturday afternoon is college football? And so, we're going to concert in the park, but do I really want to go to concert in the park? No. I want to watch college football. So here we go, concert in the park. I got my phone, and I'm going to sneak it every once in a while, check the score. Fellas, ladies, how many of you, right? So but here we are, we got the food, and we got the thing, and the concert, and the kids running around, and then you're sitting next to me. You're right here with your little family. And the whole time I'm saying, please don't talk to me. Please do not talk to me. I do not want to talk to anybody because I'm not excited about being here. I want to watch the game. Nevada is playing. And then all of a sudden, your kids start playing with my kids. Damn, now I'm not talking to parents. Damn. How many of you know? So now our kids start playing together, and they're starting to have fun. Hey, how you doing? And then I notice you're cooking something on your hibachi. I'm like, what the hell is that? It smells like, what? I hope he doesn't ask me to try any of that. I don't want to try any of that. By the end of the concert, have we struck up a conversation, yes or no? By the end of the conversation, have we found some common ground, yes or no? By the end of the conversation, if we live in a certain size community, have we realized that we know common friends, yes or no? By the end of the conversation, has community been built, yes or no? See, the power of a special event is it's where community is built. It provides an opportunity for people with different backgrounds, talent, experience, and interests to come together and bump in to one. Come on now, give that piece of love. Give that piece of love. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. Come on, Utah. Come on, Utah. That will be the only time in my life where I'll be cheering for Utah. Let me just say that. I'm in the bag, baby. Hey, give these staff people a round of applause. The power of a special event is it builds community. Unlike anything else can build community, especially if you're doing barrier-free activities. Have no cost. Somebody tell me the power of a playground. It's the power of a playground. What's the inherent value of a playground? And shit, how do you know they're expensive as hell? Then the playgrounds are like selling cars, man. There's like the markup and the markup and the markup. I probably shouldn't say that because I'm sure we have some playground sponsors. I apologize. The views expressed by Hill are not indicative of the organization in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure it's good. Leanne's like, oh God. What's the power of a playground? Physical development, friends, connections. If we were talking about from a child development standpoint, we know that a playground is the key to creativity. If we're going to have an innovative society, this is an absolute fact. You can go to the University of Google and check me. If we're going to have an innovative society in the future, we're on the leading edge economically, we better get kids to play. We have yet to figure out, quantify the impact of kids not playing. We have yet to see the generational impact of a bunch of kids that are just doing this. Play, physiologically, psychologically, and for mental development is key to creativity. I'm going to predict, and it's a bad prediction, I apologize. I'm going to predict that our standing in innovation over the next 20 years is going to decline because we didn't have kids playing. It's a natural development. You talk to any childhood development expert, and they'll tell you one of the keys to that kid becoming a full adult, cognitively, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, is play. We got to get kids to play. Because if they don't, we won't be as innovative economically. Just telling you right now. It's an absolute fact. So your playground must be clean. Your playground must be well maintained. Your playground must have leading edge equipment. Your playground must be fun. Why? Because at 3 o'clock every day this conversation happens. Hey, what are you going to do? As they get out of school. Hey, what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? How many know what I'm talking about right now? Right? I'm going to go get high. What are you going to do? I'm going to go to the playground. Well, how many of you know high sounds a lot better than the playground sometimes? What are you going to do? I'm going to go get laid. Okay, let's not even go down that road. My point is this. We're in competition. Because at 3 o'clock every day, that kid has choices. And the choices we provide better be more dynamic, more interesting, and more fun than the other choices. So we can't just roll out the ball. We can't just build this same normal playground. I agree with some of the playground manufacturers. They got to be dynamic, and they got to be cool, they got to be well maintained, they got to be clean. And they got to be multifaceted. Why? Because that's engaging to a kid. Now, I could go through all of the rest of the things that you do, the power of your facilities, the power of a golf course, I could. My only point is to remind you how amazing you are and how phenomenal what you do is and how, Nick read a bunch of fancy stuff about me. I pale in comparison to you. You're not making widgets every day. You're building community and changing lives. That's who you are. But do you remember it? How many of you can honestly say that we all get a little beat up? kicked around, a little cynical, a little jaded, a little crusty. How many know some crusty people? Don't make eye contact with anybody. We can't be the catalyst for the Renaissance if we're still crusty. So, I think I've made my point of how important you are and how critical you are to society. The next point to understand is that Drucker was right. Peter F. Drucker. Peter F. Drucker said that every couple hundred years in Western history, society rearranges itself. And the society that the grandparents knew is completely different than the society the grandchildren know. He called it a time of transformation. Pre-pandemic, how many would agree we were already in a time of transformation? Pandemic just exasperates the transformation. We're not going back. It's not going to be like it was. Transformation has occurred. Drucker was correct. How have things changed? I want to give you some insight into how things have changed. So first, understand your importance. If you want to be the catalyst for the Renaissance in yourself, if you want to be the catalyst of the Renaissance in your neighborhood, if you want to be the catalyst of the Renaissance in your department or in your community, first, understand how important you are and the key critical impact that you make. Second, understand how society has changed. So let's talk about how society has changed. Society has become user-driven. Write that down. User-driven. All of society is user-driven, period. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'll give you some examples. Media. When I was a kid, media told me when to show up. Media told me what day, what time, and what channel. Am I right or wrong? Hey everybody, MASH is on. Let's get around the TV. It's just Wednesday night. MASH. And how many remember this? We'd be sitting in the chair. MASH would be over, Barney Miller would be on, and your dad would say this, Ian, change the channel. Ah, shoot, man. There was no remote controls, young lady. We got to have to change the channel. I remember this. I remember I used to hold the antenna. Big sports game, I have to hold the antenna and go like this. Watching it. Every big game I watch like this. What do we say to media now? We say media. We'll watch what we want, when we want, on the platform we want. We dictate to media. One of the most transformational things that happened was that stupid little iPod. Because all of a sudden, I didn't have to go buy an album. You guys look good, so I'll tell you a story. My little Nadia, she's not little anymore, she's 17 now. But my little Nadia, she bounces into my little home office man cave one day. She's probably 11, 10, maybe 9. She bounces into my little man cave. Sunday afternoon. Now she's sprightly. Hi, Daddy. Hi, Nadia. What are you doing? Daddy, can I talk to you? Absolutely. I just need you to move about 4 feet to the right so I can see the game and I can talk to you at the same time. Make eye contact with both things. Awesome. Yes. What do you got for me, Nadia? Daddy, have you ever heard of Miley Cyrus? I was like, yeah, don't be like her. Yeah. Don't be like her. But this is before she went sideways, right? So I'm like, yeah, I heard of Miley Cyrus. She goes, Dad, I have got an amazing thing to tell you. I was like, what's that, Nadia? I love her new song. I said, what's her new song? Low down, low down, low down, whatever that song was. And I was like, that's awesome. Why is that important to me? Because I want you to know I just bought that song. I said, you just bought that song. Now, how did she buy that song? iTunes, right? So I said, you just bought the song? Yeah, I bought the song on iTunes. I said, do you have an iTunes account? She goes, no, I used your iTunes account. I said, how do you know the password to my iTunes account? Where did you get that? She goes, I know the password. I go, what's the password? She goes, Nadia. Now, let's be true. My daughter doesn't know a time that she can't go and get what she wants immediately. Immediately. My daughter doesn't know a time that she can't see my face when, no matter where I am in the world, to talk to me. Never knows a time. Now let's go back to a time of me and you, right? Back in the day. How we used to have to buy news to contrast. Let's say it was Saturday night, right? And we were driving down the road listening to the radio. Me, Tucson, Arizona, 1984. Woo! I had my mullet blowing in the wind. Woo! And you know how you know if a guy in this room had a mullet when he was a kid? If you look over at a man who's bald or balding, he had a mullet when he was a kid. And you know why? You know how I know that? Because God looks down and says this, if you can't take care of it, I'll take it away. So I'm driving down the road, 1984, I'm in my Camaro, said it was a Thunderbird. Anyway, so we're driving down the road. So we're driving here with Firebird, I mean, so we're driving down the road, and a song comes on. I'm sailing away. How many know that song? Got no dog or the tragedy. I don't know any of the words. Anyway. And we were both like, you know, like Macaulay in the past time. You're like, dude, love that song. And you're like, yeah. I don't even know what I'm talking about, right? When can I get that song? Come on, the 2 buttons. Yes. This young lady's like, what the hell? That's right. So we hear it on the radio. Next day was Sunday. No record store was open. So we have to ditch school on Monday. No, we didn't ditch school. I did. Well, you didn't, but I did. So if we were good kids, we couldn't get the song till after school on Monday. And how many songs did we have to buy to get one song? We had to buy 11 and 14 songs to get one. We had to literally wait days to get what we wanted. Now, if you don't think that's a fundamental shift in society, I could go into a lot more. I could talk about the family unit. I could talk about the decline of participation in places of faith. I could talk about the decline in service clubs and fraternal organizations and the like. I could talk about a whole bunch of other ways that society has changed, but I won't because I don't have time. I would just say this. Suffice it to say, things are fundamentally different than they ever have been. So watch this. 85% of your behavior is unconscious. 85% of what you do every day, you just do. The approaches to your employees, the way we program, the way we build facilities, the way we do things, personally, organizationally, and in our community. But wait a minute. Drucker said that there was a fundamental shift in society, but we're using approaches for a time gone by. How many would agree with me we're probably going to be ineffective? We're probably going to be ineffective. It just goes without saying. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means times have changed. Are the approaches I'm using what the times require? Are the approaches I'm using what the times require? Because if times have changed and things have changed and it's fundamentally different, and I just gave you one example of how it's literally different, let alone banking is different, let alone the way we buy a car is different, let alone the way we travel is different, let alone the way we just do life is different. You cannot tell me that the approaches we were using previously are going to work today. The skills, abilities, and competencies to win the battles behind me may not be the skills, abilities, and competencies to win the battles before me. What does that mean? That means if you are critical and important, if you are mission critical in our community, if you touch every citizen from cradle to grave, if you are an essential service, but we are using approaches individually and collectively for a time gone by, then how many agree with me we're probably going to miss the mark? And when you miss the mark, you miss me. When you miss the mark, the playgrounds don't get built. When you miss the mark, the schools don't get built. When you miss the mark, the things that I've been able to do don't happen. Because I end up being Arizona number 758329429. Because that was the trajectory that I was on. So, you have people's lives in your hands every day. You have a community in your hand. So you must consistently ask yourself, are the approaches I'm using what the times require? Notice there's no judgment in that. It's just, it's the way I'm doing stuff, what's needed now. And 10 years from now, we got to ask ourselves the same thing. And a year from now, the same thing. Look, I know I got to change. I know there's things that I gotta adjust. If I really want to continue to make an impact. Now I'm back on fire, right? I went through the valley. I walked through the wilderness. And I'm glad that I did because now I know what depressed men go through. Why do you think I'm trying to play college football? I mean, that's crazy playing college football. But I got a great coach, #1 long snapping coach in the country, Chris Rubio, and he's like, Ian, you're going to do this. I got fitness coaches. I got people helping me. I'm going to do it. A year from now, a year from right now, you'll be hearing me playing college football. For me, hell no. So men, realize that you can talk about your depression, you can talk about your challenges, you can talk about your thoughts of suicide, and you can get some help. Did you know that middle-aged men are 70% more likely to kill themselves than any other segment of the population? And this middle-aged white men are 70% more likely to kill themselves than any other segment of the population. So my whole point of doing this crazy thing is not because me. Listen to this now. Your goals and dreams that have been put into you by God or Buddha or the universe or that tree over there, whatever you believe in. I'm not just saying whatever you believe in. They're not for you. They're for somebody else to be inspired. This thing has nothing to do with me. It has to do with other guys and other gals. Oh, that was what that crazy guy did. If that crazy guy can do that, I can reconcile with my daughter. If that crazy guy can do that, I can go take this dream that I have here in the drawer that I thought was over with and I can bring it back out. If that crazy guy can do that, we can fix the problems of our community. See, that's the advantage of being stupid, guys. That's the advantage of graduating at the bottom of your class. I'm too dumb. Because I still believe we can get drugs out of our schools. I still believe that America's best days are ahead. Damn, I believe that. It's funny, when I was a kid and I put my hand on my heart, and I said that Pledge of Allegiance, I believe that shit. When Schoolhouse Rock would play, remember Schoolhouse Rock? When Schoolhouse Rock would play and it talked about that all men were created equal and indivisible and the Constitution and I'm just a bill, I'm only a... I believed that crap. I believed it. So I think our best days are ahead. That's the advantage of being dumb. The advantage of being dumb is you don't see all the nonsense, you just see the goal. You just focus on the goal. You just ask questions like, well, why can't we do that? We're not smart enough? Why can't we do that? We're not talented enough? Why can't we do that? We're not strong enough? Why can't we do that? We're not rich enough? Why can't we do that? Come on now. Why can't we make it to the moon? Of course we can make it to the moon. So for you, where are you at? When you ask yourself in the mirror, are the approaches I'm using what the times require? What's the answer you get back? Because that 4-year-old little boy, that senior on a fixed income, that young family, their future is determined by your answer. All right, Ian, I bought in. I got you. We're important. We're in changing times. So what's the answer? All right, how do we lead the Renaissance? I'll take you now through the balance of our time on the 4 key ingredients to being a catalyst for a Renaissance in yourself, in your community, in your department, and in your community. Number 1, belief. Sounds Pollyannish, it sounds ridiculous, but if you can't see tomorrow being better than it was yesterday, it won't be. If you can't see tomorrow being better than it was yesterday, then there's no hope. If you don't have the capacity to believe in that which is yet unseen, then it never will be. Viktor Frankl said this, if I see a man as he is, I do him an injustice. If I see a man as he is, right now today, I do him an injustice, because then he'll never go beyond what he is today. But if I see a man and what he could be, then he has a shot to end up what he should be. Thank God my coaches had that mindset. Thank God my first bosses had that mindset. Thank God that the people in my life have that mindset. If I see an individual of what they are today, I doom them to stay what they are today. Believe. How many agree with me when we were this high, we believed in everything? Santa Claus, Boogeyman, the whole program. How many agree with me? And Carl reminded me of this story. I haven't told this story in years. I'm going to tell that story again, right? When I was a little kid in Arizona, I believed in everything, man. I believed I was going to be a fireman, spaceman. I believed I could do anything. And in Arizona, all the roofs in Arizona are what? They're all flat, right? Well, one day I got this crazy idea that I could run off my roof and jump in my next door neighbor's pool. The distance was probably 30 yards. All of my friends were incredibly supportive of the idea, just so you know. So one day, I get up on that roof, right? All my friends down around the water, here's what they're doing. Jump, 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 jump. So I pulled back as far as I could at the edge of the roof, and I took to running. Shh! I hit the edge of that roof. Did my best Carl Lewis, And I hear murmuring amongst the crowd, and it's this. Ain't gonna make it. Ain't gonna make it. And I'm at the top of my jump, and I look down and say, shit, ain't gonna make it. And I curled up in a ball, and I hit that cement. Bam! A bloody shoulder, and a bloody hip, and a bloody knee. All my friends, he is the stupidest kid on the block. And if you ask Doug or Dale or Joe Myron, they'll tell you, I hit that cement. That's true. Let me tell you something. My damn hands hit that water. Let me tell you that. My hands hit that water. I rolled 3 times, jumped in the pool. Yeah! He's the stupidest kid on the block. Now, that's a funny story, but listen to this. That's just like your life. You came out of the gate 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, new into the profession. You were going to take on the world. You were going to handle business. You were going to help kids or seniors, or you were going to take care of open space, or you were going to have the finest park in town, or you were going to take care of greenways, or take care of the snow, or whatever it was, and you were going to do it amazingly. You were going to change departments, and then you came up against some 25-year employee who was like, hey, ease up, champ. All your activity and all that enthusiasm making the rest of us look bad, so you need to ease up on that. Or you ran an idea up the flagpole, and your supervisor knocked that down. Or you went to your first public meeting and were referred to as staff, not by your name. Or you worked on a long project, and then elected officials changed, and that project got put on the shelf after you put your heart and soul into it. Can anybody relate to what I'm talking about right now? And then you gave love to another human being, and they trashed it in front of your face. And one by one, you hit the cement, and you hit the cement, and you hit the cement, and you hit the cement. And at some point, you just say, I'm not done with it. The challenge with that is, nothing great can happen without the seeds of belief. When I was 17 years old, I got back up on that roof. All my friends were down around the water. They all drunk that night. It sounded like this. Jump, jump. All bigger and older, football like jump, jump, jump. And I pulled back and I took the run. Hit the edge of the roof. Gust of wind caught the big fat bud. God was smiling on me. My toe caught the cement. It did. I did a kind of a cartwheel into the pool. Yes. Stupidest kid on the block, man. Here's my point to you. There's an idea that you put on the shelf because you didn't believe tomorrow could be better than yesterday that the community desperately needs. There's an employee that you've given up on who has talent and ability, but you've given up on them. They desperately need you to believe in them. There's a kid in your house. There's a kid in your house that you need to see what they could be so they end up what they should be. There's a spouse that you dedicated yourself to a long time ago that you literally sit at dinner and don't talk to anymore. So you need to believe in the relationship. This isn't a game for me, guys. It's not a joke. It's about life. Belief. You want to be a catalyst for the Renaissance? Check your cynicism, check your crustiness and jadedness, and believe. And you'll have crazy guys like me try to do something nuts, right, to create some hope. And then you look and go, oh, if that crazy guy can do it, I can do it. Second word, write it down. Choice. Every thought that we think, every word that we speak, every action that we take, we have a choice. Now, we can't choose, like right now, just the community that we're from, literally is on fire right now. Douglas County, Nevada, portion of Douglas County, Nevada is now being evacuated. Mandatory evacuations in the county that we're from. And so then the other part of the county is absorbing everybody, like Caldor fire, you've read about it. I can't choose that. But the first thing that Kelly said to me last night was, as soon as we get home, we got to go out there and help walk dogs. She's going to take her and her 4 kids because they have a shelter where they're taking all the animals. And the first thing she says to me is, we're going to get the kids. She's going to get her kids, and she's going to take them out and they're going to go walk dogs. Because that's what they can do. A choice. A choice. Choice. I can't choose what happens. I can't dictate what society I can, but I can choose what I do. What are you choosing to do every day? Cynical, angry, bitter, or choosing to find a way to win? What's your name, young lady? She looked at me like this. Don't talk to me. Make the evil bald man go away. Hey, can you and I play a game? Sure. She's like locked in eye contact with me right now. I'm getting nervous. And what was your name again? Janica, that's a beautiful name. You're welcome. Trying to get back in the good graces there. All right. So, Janica, we're going to play a game. I'm going to take $86,000, I'm going to put it in your bank account. Okay? All of a sudden, she likes the bald man from Nevada. Yeah. I'm going to take $86,000, I'm going to put it in your bank account. But there'll be two stipulations. I'll put that $86,000 in there at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, I'm going to come back. And anything left in the positive balance, anything that you haven't given to charity, anything that you haven't spent with your family, anything that you haven't moved to another account, you can do that if you want. Anything left in that positive balance, I'm going to take away from you. $86,000. You can do whatever you want. But anything left, I'm coming back and taking. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow you might get another $86,000, but you don't know for a fact. What would you do with that money, Janica? I'll make it easy for you. Would you spend every dime? You'd leave it in the account? Helper. How many of you would leave the money in the account? You'd either spend it or you would what?
Give it away.
But you would do something with that money, yes or no?
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're going to get it tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Well, you check this if you don't check anything else I say. You get $86,000 every day. 86,400 seconds in a day. Given to you to spend however you will. You see, that's the one thing that winners and losers have in common. Time. 60 seconds to a minute, 60 minutes to an hour, 24 hours in a day, and 168 hours in a week. What are we choosing to do with what we have been given? Now, I don't care what your worldview is, but all worldviews agree on this. The choices we make determine our outcomes. The decision we make determine our destiny. And because you're in important, valuable jobs that make a significant impact on citizens from cradle to grave, the choices you make have generational impact. What are you choosing to do with what you have been given? Choice. The way you're handling your employees. We talked about it yesterday. Give employees a say in how they determine themselves, how they determine their workplace. Why? Because every other institution that they interface with in a user-driven society allows them to dictate the experience. To the degree that you allow your employees to dictate experience will be the degree that they will fully participate. They will come to work, whether it's in person or remotely. They will come to work. Why? Because they have mortgages to pay. But there's a difference between trading time for money and living out the spirit and living out the letter of the job description. You want employees that live out the spirit of the job description, to go and do the valuable work that makes a significant impact. To do that, we've got to fundamentally change the way we work within departments. I can't cover that in this time. I can't cover that in the 8, 9, 10 minutes I have left. So we're doing something different at this conference, something that I don't think anybody else has done. Now, I've done this for years, but Leanne and the team have gotten on board as well. You see, I would suggest to you that these conferences to some degree are a waste of time. Beyond the collegiality, coming together, beyond the sharing of ideas, all good. But from a behavioral change standpoint, that 80% of the behavior, 85% of the behavior that you're just doing, coming to a 3-day conference and then going back to your workplace is not going to change behavior. How many of you would agree? It's just scientifically not capable of doing that because it takes how many days? It takes 21 and 28 days of focused effort to change some of that behavior. So Leanne and Utah Recreation and Parks Association and us, we're all coming together to do it a little bit differently. You see, on Friday, I'm going to launch a webpage just for you. And that webpage that I launched for you is going to have, eventually over the next 30 days, have an additional 15 to 18 hours of training that you can use with your staff, that you can use for yourself. I don't care how you use it. I'm just giving it to you. And Leanne, did you pay for that? No. She's shaking her head, no, you did not pay for that. Why am I doing it? Because we got a community to save. We got a nation to build. We got work to get done. So it's moral, right? I got to give you these training videos so we take what we talked about today and expand on it so you can actually do something with it. So here's the thing. I'm from Nevada. And Utah, you understand what I'm about to say. A trader's relationship. What's a trader's relationship? That means I give you something of value, you give me something of value. So I'm giving you more value than you're giving me. We lose money coming here because of the month that we're going to put in to support you. So you're going to give me something back. You're going to make a choice. I'm going to ask every single person at this conference to choose to pick out one thing that you're going to be a little bit better at over the next 30 days. About 300 people attending this conference, some of the most important people in the communities all across Utah. I'm going to ask all of you to pick out one thing. There'll be a button on that webpage, and Mikkel will send out the URL to everybody. You'll know what the page is. There'll be a button that says, make my commitment. And then you're going to make a commitment. You're going to click that button and make your commitment. Here's what I'm going to get better at, Ian. I'm going to get better with my staff, or I'm going to get better in the park, or I'm going to get better here, I'm going to get better at my house, or I'm going to take care of my physicality, or whatever it is. Your commitment. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. What if 300 of us from across the state of Utah dragging me off to jail for talking to you? Lucky to live in a land where I can worship where I worship, when I want to worship, or not worship at all if I choose not to. Lucky to live in a land where I can pursue my dreams and goals. And that my hard work and energy and my merit can lift me. And although we are flawed, and although we are broken, and although we've done some shitty things, I would still say greatest country in the history of mankind. But with all of those right come what? Responsibility. Responsibility. We built those playgrounds, honored those fallen shoulders. Now you know the backstory. The backstory is if it wasn't for a soldier willing to serve, I wouldn't be here. He put his career on the line, and to some degree, probably not, obviously not as significant as what's been going on the last few weeks, but it was the time of the Shah. Smuggling a baby out could have been a bad deal for him, certainly for his career as a career non-commissioned officer. But he was willing to take the risk to save a kid and bring him to freedom. I'm lucky to be free. Responsibility. So you and I have to ask ourselves, what is our responsibility? Now, let's be honest. I can't solve the problems of the whole big bad world, but I can handle my little corner. Carl can handle his little corner. Keith can handle his little corner. Nick will handle his little corner. Each one of you will handle your little corner. And how many of you agree with that would knock down any wall of oppression or injustice? If each one of us just say, I'm going to handle my little corner. I want to take care of mine. And you take care of yours, bro. I'll take care of mine, and we'll link up together, and we'll make something great happen. And that's the only way. It doesn't matter which political party is in power. The president's not going to fix my problems in my little town, or your little town, or your community. The governor's not going to do it either. It's up to regular people like me and you. That's why I'm counting on the park and recreation profession, because you interact with so many citizens. And if you're fully engaged, and if you're living out the spirit and the energy of your great calling, then I know our best days are ahead. Responsibility. Last word, commitment. I'm going to be done in 3 minutes, Leanne. Don't panic. Commitment. Anybody know the difference between involved and committed? Like a chicken and a pig and a bacon and egg breakfast. Right? Chicken and a pig and a bacon and egg breakfast. That chicken is involved. That pig is committed. How many of you agree with me? We got a lot of involved people. We don't have a lot of committed people in today's day and age. Now, I understand why some people have given up commitment, because I've lived it. Burned out, beat up, cynical, jaded, crusty. I get it. Knocked down, kicked around a little bit. Unfortunately, the challenges that we have today, only commitment will work. Anybody know any words from the Declaration of Independence? Anybody know any words? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To me, the greatest words ever written in the history of mankind. Now, have we as a nation always lived up to those words? No. Have we as a nation, to our own shame, had a big gap between our principle and practice sometimes? Yes. But still, in concept, the greatest words ever written in the history of mankind. And yet, they're not the words that made the document great. They're not the words that keep us free today. It was the last words of the Declaration of Independence that really mattered. We mutually pledged to one another our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. 56 men signed a document that said they would give all their money They would give all their energy, and they would give all they had to the cause of freedom. And it wasn't talking heads, and it wasn't CNN, and it wasn't Fox News, and it wasn't a bunch of just crap. You know that when the king saw a copy of the document, he said this from the throne: find the 56 men and hang them. Find their families and imprison them for life. Find their land and burn it to the ground. Why? Because the king can't have people saying, we're going to be free. And every one of the 56 men knew that when they signed the document. Why the hell do you think they all signed so small? It's true. But there was one guy. There was one guy that signed big and bold. John Hancock. And legend has it that he said this: and now the king doesn't need his spectacles to know my name. That's the spirit of the Mountain West. That's what we have in common between Nevada and Utah. A rugged individualism, a find a way, make a way attitude. That's what built this great state, and that's what built your neighboring state. You would know my name because I would work my ass off for me and my family. And people came across and sacrificed everything they had. And people came before you to build this great state into what it is today. What are you going to do with this great state and hand the baton to the next generation? And you're the people that build it. You are the quality of life sector that make a community worth living in. There's a big difference between involved and committed, just like the chicken and a pig and a bacon and egg breakfast. How many of you have served in this profession for 20 years or more? Raise your hand. How many have been in the profession 30 years or more? Raise your hand. If you've been in the profession 30 years or more, stand up. You can still stand up. I know you have the capabilities. No, seriously, we're almost done. Listen, give them love. No, don't sit down. Do not sit down. These are the heroes of our community. Donovan Mitchell, he's a hell of a basketball player. But these are the heroes. How many lives? How many families? How much sacrifice from their own families have they made for the betterment of our state and your communities? These are the heroes of Utah. Give them some glory. Commitment. I ask you tonight, when you get back to your hotel room, you have a couple beers or whatever you do at the barbecue, and it'll all be good. And you'll come back to your hotel room, and you'll come back to wherever you live. And I just want you to look in the mirror. I just want you to look in the mirror and just look introspectively and say, what have I dedicated my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor to? And is it still the same as it was 10 years ago? And is it still the same as it was 5 years ago? Or if I just said this, and I don't mean to offend, 3 times my highest years, times 68, that's what it's going to be. I'm good to go. Let me shut this thing into neutral and just cruise to the end. Do not make eye contact with anybody in this room. How many of you know what I'm talking about right now? This may come across offensive, but if that's you, either change or get out. I love you, and I thank you for your years of service, but you can't walk in that attitude. You either got to change or you got to get out because you're too important. If you want to be a catalyst for the Renaissance, believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. If you want to be a catalyst for the Renaissance, understand you have a choice of how you take that $86,000 and how you use it every day. No, I cannot dictate the circumstances, but I can choose my thoughts, my words, and my actions, and the $86,000. Choose to make a commitment over the next month, and collectively 300 of us cascade across Utah, and we did a little bit better than we were 30 days before, and we send a ripple of hope across our department when somebody says, I can't believe they changed. I can't believe they got better at that. Or in your own house, I can't believe she got better at that. I can't believe he got better at that. Act on your responsibility as a citizen of the greatest land in the history of mankind. Honor Taylor Hoover, Staff Sergeant. We should figure out how we can build a playground for him. How do we recruit it back? And then commitment. Life, fortune, sacred honor. Look, I realize you don't get paid for the value of what you do every day. I recognize that people don't even understand what you do every day, even your own families. I recognize that you'll never be applauded. They're not putting a name on a street for you. But we know the incredible work that you do and the difference that you make. As I was coming up the escalator with Kelly, I was thinking to myself, what if I was to really sum up everything that I wanted to say, what would it be boiled down to? It'd be boiled down to this. From me and my family, from Kelly and her family, from our companies, I just say this. Thank you. Thank you for the incredible difference that you've made in people's lives. Thank you for your commitment during this challenging time of the pandemic. For some of you, it was totally different. For other of you in the South, it was incredibly busy. Just thank you. But I'm not just thanking you for what you've done. I'm thanking you for what you will do. I'm challenging Utah to be the catalyst for the rest of the industry, for renaissance within the industry of innovation, of creativity, of taking and coming out of this incredibly challenging time and doing something amazing with it. And Utah being a beacon of hope to the rest of the land of what can happen when professionals come together, united around a common goal, not caring who gets the credit. So on behalf of us, I just say thank you. Have a great night.